must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Towards realization of the grand vision of better infrastructure, the government is soon commissioning operations of the Port of Lamu in June 2021. 3 of the 32 berths of the port have been completed, and it's expected that Lamu Port alone will handle up to 24 million tons of cargo annually when fully completed. Lamu Port construction is part of the $25 billion Lamu Port, South Sudan and Ethiopia Transport Corridor project, also known as LAPSSET. The transformative Lamu Port project was officially launched by the Government of Kenya in March 2012, and its construction continues in earnest. Commissioning of the Lamu Port will play a significant role in the next phase of Kenya's socio-economic growth. The soon-to-be operationalized port will continue to modernization of Kenya's infrastructure and boost communication and transportation, which are some of the key pillars of Kenya's dominant position in Eastern Africa. The Government of Kenya has committed to expanding Kenyan road and rail network to better open the country for trade and also to cement Kenya's position as a regional transportation and communication hub. As the Government of Kenya strive to bring the country into a new realm of increased economic growth and raise the living standards for the population, many infrastructural projects have been commissioned. President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained instrumental in championing for a new chapter of Kenya's infrastructural development, and that is why the mega LAPSSET project is gradually becoming a reality despite the challenges the project has faced. LAPSSET is one of Kenya's flagship long-term infrastructural development programs under the country's Vision 2030 and the infrastructural development pillar under the Big Four agenda. Through its multiple infrastructural components, including the 32-berth Lamu Port, regional highways, rails, oil pipelines, and refineries, as well as resort cities along the corridor, the mega project is projected to become a major contributor that will take Kenya's annual gross domestic product, that is the GDP growth, to more than 10%. The LAPSSET project will not only become one of Kenya's revolutionary infrastructural development projects in the country's recent history, but also contribute to realization of African Union's vision of integrating the continent for regional trading by 2063. The government of President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained committed into bringing the LAPSSET grand vision into a reality. The project bears heavily on the president's ambition to modernize Kenya's infrastructure to cement Kenya's position as transport and logistics hub in East Africa and the Horn of African regions. To hasten the realization of the benefits of the Lamu Port initiative, the government has been upgrading and constructing roads that connect the port as the regional hinterland encompassing Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Uganda. The port will also connect Kenya and the regional hinterland to some other 300 ports globally. The initiative of the Port of Lamu is also expected to create many jobs domestically, including jobs in fishery, manufacturing, logistics, trade, agriculture, and commerce. Thank you for joining us. My name is Miriam Ogutu. The show is Good Morning Africa. And as usual, we're coming to you from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. And we shall be going through the latest from Kenya, especially by going through the leading newspapers and picking on the trending stories here in the country. And joining me on the panel is Douglas Kirimi. Douglas, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu, and also to our friends across the world, to my co-panelist, Jevan Karanja, and to our crew at our headquarters that make it happen every day. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening, depending on where they are watching our broadcast from. Thank you for having me on the show, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. And we're also joined by Jevan Karanja. Jevan, a very good morning to you. All right, as we wait for Jevan to join us, I'll take us through quickly on what we have on the papers this morning before we start our discussions. And on the Standard newspaper, the main headline, Uhuru talks a deadlock amid BBI anxiety. Presidential race talks between ODM leader Raila and OKA principals to resume after Friday's BBI judgment following failure to strike a deal on the way forward at a meeting yesterday. The story is on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. And then just up there, varsity courses for top KCSE candidates. The story is on page 4. And battle of the Irungus in Muranga. The story is on page 21. And then just below that, father, my daughter stole 115 million Kenya shillings. That is what apparently a father is saying. The story is on page 3 of the Standard newspaper. On the Daily Nation, the main headline, Uhuru corners OKA chiefs to back Raila. The story is on page 4 of the Daily Nation, and other I think special features there when your child dies by suicide. And the story is on page 10. The high cost of digitization hitch. The story is on the back page of the Daily Nation, and the main pictorial there, athletics championships, Kenya begins hunt for medals. The issue there. And then women win for men as MPs back bill on 50-50 child care. The National Assembly's Committee on Labour and Social Welfare, in a report before the House, have backed the Children Amendment Bill 2020 by Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma, which also seeks to have the rights of children applied uniformly whether their parents are married or not, by aligning the principal law with Article 53 of the Constitution. The story is on page 6 of the Daily Nation. And then COVID-19, Kenyans pay more for oxygen. That is what we have on the cover of the Daily Nation. And on the Star newspaper, Raila, Mudavadi, Kalonzo deal on verge of success. That is the main headline. And just below that is the main pictorial of how many more should die as authorities deter convicts of 10 people who died after drinking illicit liquor during a funeral service in Hodi Hodi, Nakuru yesterday. So that is the main pictorial. Indeed, quite sad. And then Sonko, his journey into city politics. I think also that is a special feature on the Star newspaper on page 14 and 15. And dream of KCSE to study medicine and engineering. The story is on page 2. And UDA primaries will be free and fair, says Ruto. A story up there. And the story is on page 6 of the Star newspaper. So let's just start with... before we get into the main headline, Raila Mudavadi Kalonzo deal on verge of success, I saw a story that I'd like for us to look at on, I think, BBI. On page 7, Raila contesting BBI verdict at Supreme Court, a waste of time. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has ruled out contesting the appeals court verdict if the judges rule against the BBI. The 7 justices are due to rule on Friday, reading the judgment aloud in open court. The ODM leader said BBI proponents will welcome any verdict and will not go to the Supreme Court, but instead focus on preparing for the 2022 general elections. Douglas Kirimi, what's your feeling? Douglas, we can't hear you. Okay, so
Thank you, Miriam. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole issue that surrounds the BBI BBI is something that we should be able to be happy about as the people of this country. But there are people who are hell-bent in sabotaging the will of the people, which is the BBI. And at the end of the day, we need to hear what the courts have to say. Raila cannot preempt what the courts are going to say tomorrow. So I'm hoping by the grace of God, we are going to be able to have a verdict that favors the people of Kenya, and a verdict that gives us a proper trajectory on the way that we shall go as a people and as a country. So I'm hoping that we shall be able to get to where the people of Kenya wanted to take this country, to change the constitution of the Republic of Kenya, and to be able to add their voices in that constitution. Remember, the people continue to say that this constitution, the way it is, Miriam, it is not properly representing the interests of the people of Kenya. I hope that by Friday, which is tomorrow, we shall be able to get a BBI judgment that is going to take this country the way of a constitutional moment. We change our constitution and we can be able to move on, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, speaking during a vernacular morning show on Lolwe, Raila said going to the Apex Court will be a waste of time with less than 12 months to the general election. And he's quoted as saying, if they stop BBI, we shall leave it at that and start preparing for elections, Raila said. Jevan Karanja, what's your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much, Miriam, and good morning to our viewers. And my friend Douglas Kirimi. Always a pleasure being on Punchline Africa television. One, I think the former Prime Minister has a point, but I think because they started this journey, they need to take it to the terminal end, and that is to the highest court in this country, the Supreme Court. Because from what I understand, the verdict that will be made yesterday, if the Court of Appeal happens to give an approval for the BBI to continue to the referendum, those guys who are opposed to the process, they'll move to Supreme Court so that maybe they can have the decision of the Court of Appeal stopped. Therefore, there's a lot that is happening. Therefore, I will not be surprised if I see either team going to the Supreme Court. But I think the former Prime Minister, he might be willing not to go to the Supreme Court, but we have other stakeholders. We have the team led by Junet Mohammed and Dennis Waweru. We have the IBC, which have a case in the Court of Appeal. Therefore, the former Prime Minister in his capacity might not be willing, but maybe other teams which support the BBI might be willing to continue up to the Supreme Court. But Miriam, as time it is, and we have our constitution, and it's very clear that we need to have a general election in the 2nd August of the second Tuesday of August after every 5 years. And from the calendar, Miriam, that year is next year, 2022. Therefore, we need also to prepare adequately for the 2022 general election. And that will happen if we concentrate all our efforts, if all leaders come together to ensure as we go to 2022 general election, we will guarantee ourselves credibility in the polls, that nobody will run out contesting the results, and nobody will have to relocate from one place to another, seeking for a peaceful place in the name of electoral violence. Therefore, we need to prepare for that general election and prepare adequately and mean business. Thank you.
Okay, and of course, the judgment will be out tomorrow, so I think we'll just leave that there and we wait for what the courts will say, tomorrow, and then we see how we continue with this conversation moving forward. But Raila, I think that could be President Rukin's feeling as well. Yes. Go ahead.
Miriam?
Yes, go ahead.
I have something more to add.
Go ahead.
If the courts in this country cannot be used to sabotage the will of the people of Kenya, it is my hope when they rule against the BBI process at this point, we can be able to appeal, and with the people of Kenya, acquisition of the people of Kenya who gave out their signatures, people who want this process to count, people who want this country to move forward. Miriam, I do not want to anticipate a situation where we ban our own country, where we destroy our own country because of political interest of 3 or 4 boys who want to be president by all means, Miriam. At the end of the day, it is for the good and the welfare of the people of this country. We do not want a situation where everything that is going to work for the people of Kenya is sabotaged. We are taken for granted, and at the end of the day, the will of the people of Kenya is sabotaged in these courts, Miriam. Like I have said before, I have a very huge problem with our judiciary, the way they are handling issues, especially issues that touch on the common person, issues that touch on representation, issues that touch on national unity and shared prosperity. I think a BBI, and this is a fact, that BBI is a progressive document that should be given a go ahead tomorrow, so that the will of the people of Kenya can be subjected into a referendum, so that the people of Kenya can decide on the way that they shall go. Will they continue banning their country after every 5 years, or they are going to heal and walk the path of national unity and walk on a path of shared prosperity across the people of across the nation and across the divide for the people of Kenya? Remember, Miriam, before we thought that our president building a road in Kisumu was doing the wrong thing because those people did not vote for him in the case of President Uhuru Kenyatta. But the president has shown us by his direction, together with the Prime Minister Raila Odinga, that developing Kisumu County, those are taxpayers, those are people who pay taxes. Developing Mombasa County, where they do not vote for him, where they vote for Raila. Developing Northeastern, especially the Nuno Mondogash Road in Northeastern. Miriam, that is a road that has benefited even people that have voted for president and sundry. But at the end of the day, it has showed us shared prosperity for the people of Kenya can be a reality if we are fair enough. If we are fair enough to be able to accept that this document is not going to benefit a few people. Shared prosperity can be a reality because the president has shown us so. Miriam, I've seen infrastructure in Kisumu County. Very beautiful roads, very beautiful government infrastructure, funded infrastructure in Kisumu County, and together with the county governments and all that. And that is the way that this country would want to go after tomorrow's judgment, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Still, before we move on then to another matter, Jave, and still on the same matter, the tone that Raila has adopted there, saying, it does not matter whatever the court will say tomorrow, we will adopt, we will accept, the judgment tomorrow. But we know the BBI, should it go through and, we go to a referendum, vote for it, it was supposed to provide for, the expanded executive that will help in accommodating, political bigwigs from across the communities here in the country and across, parties here. So that, how will that be addressed, the issue of inclusivity and regional balance, if the BBI doesn't go through? How do you think that will be addressed in the next elections? Because it's a huge matter right now.
Yeah, thank you. And it's true that the issue of inclusivity and the issue of expanded executive that the BBI proposed was to solve the issue of marginalization, where some communities feel that they have been sidelined for years and they have not been able to be at the higher decision-making table. Therefore, I think moving forward, it will be the interest of the government that will be come in power in 2020, after 2022 general election, to ensure they start a process, they start a revolutionary process that will ensure that we have a way of accommodating all communities at the higher decision-making table, so that we can have and kill the issue of marginalization and the issue of exclusivity. But for now, I don't see anything big happening.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. And as I said, let's wait for tomorrow's ruling. We shall be here to report it for you. And on page 6 of the Star newspaper, let's get into the party politics. And UDA primaries will be free and fair, says Ruto. United Democratic Alliance Party nominations will be free, fair and credible. Deputy President William Ruto has said. Ruto on Wednesday said he was determined to make UDA a formidable and tribeless national outfit dedicated to long-term unity, governance, and development. That sounds very good, but we do know that our politics are tribal. So, Deputy President, intends to overcome that and talk about national politics here. But he's saying, the primaries will be fair. Never mind that he's still in a Jubilee Party. Douglas.
Miriam, this is pure hypocrisy. A few years ago, he was in charge of the Jubilee administrations, not Jubilee, the Jubilee Party of Kenya nominations at Jubilee House. And we all know what he did. He picked out people that he didn't like Kabogo, so that they cannot become at elected when their term ends in 2022. And also gave out tickets to Waititos of this world and Sonkos and everything. Every bad character in this country has been able to be permitted on the political arena or to the fore by this man, Dr. William Ruto. Now, Miriam, when you look at it, is he admitting that in Jubilee he mismanaged that and he has repented in court politically, that now he would want to be able to come and overcome the same or some of the sins that he has been able to grow? We have never had the president giving phone calls to Secretary General of Jubilee Party to sabotage these nomination processes at the Jubilee and the quarters. Miriam, remember, I'm very kind to William Ruto today, because William Ruto is a man that was at Jubilee House controlling the nomination process and calling polling stations and everyone that cared to know that he was in charge of that process. And it was such a fraud process that gave us leaders who have now called misleaders, people who have become too corrupt, people who have continued stifling development and taking monument for health care of their people, leaders that cannot be able to benefit the people totally, Miriam. So I believe when he says that UDA nominations are going to be free and fair, I think Dr. William Ruto says, and in essence, that he is going to repent of his past sin, the sin of a fraud nomination process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But also, if we can remember, Raila Odinga just a few weeks ago also alluded on the same, saying that next time, ODM nominations will be free and fair. So it's like all parties have been having a problem when it comes to the party primaries there. And Ruto is set to change this when he says during the UDA nominations. Jevan Karanja.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that good and timely question. But I will say this, the Deputy President, time has proved not once nor twice that he cannot manage anything fair, anything that is transparent. In 2017, when President Uhuru Kenyatta trusted him to oversee the Jubilee primaries and nominations, what did he do? He went around, had picking his sycophants and his followers and positioned them in various constituencies in this country, and ensured that those guys who he felt like they were aligned to the side of President Uhuru Kenyatta, they were denied a chance for re-election, or they were denied a chance to be on the ballot in the first place. And this was happened because he knew very well Jubilee was very strong in Mount Kenya region and Rift Valley. Therefore, he knew if you had the Jubilee ticket, that was almost 90% clinching the position and heading to Parliament or heading to the Senate. Therefore, those are some of the things that the Deputy President did. Therefore, when he comes out to tell us that the UDA party, the new party, will give a clear, a clean and a transparent nominations, Miriam, I'm not sure whether he'll mean his word this time round. But what I know, the issue of party primaries is not only a contentious issue in UDA, but across all political parties, because these party leaders, and this is a sad reality with our political parties, they are individually owned. They are owned by some individuals. When you look at the UDA, you'll see William Ruto. When you look at ODM, you'll see the former Prime Minister. When you talk of Wiper, ANC, you'll see some figures who own the party. If they happen to retire politically, they will retire with their political party. We had PNU under Moi Kibaki. What we have now is a shell of what PNU used to do under CS Peter Munya. Therefore, as we move forward, there are some guys who have been supporting these leaders for many years. We have leaders who have been, when you look at the case of Deputy President, we have the likes of Ndindi Nyoro, Kimani Ichung'wah. Tell me, if Ndindi Nyoro happens to go to a nomination under UDA and he happens to lose, Miriam, I can guarantee you that he will be given the ticket, whether we like it or not. That is the reality of our party. There are some guys who are very close to Deputy President who cannot be denied a parliamentary nomination through the UDA party. Therefore, the issue of free primaries in this country, not only in UDA, but across the political parties, will take time to materialize and to be where other democracies are. I submit.
Okay, and still staying with party politics, still on page 6 of the Star newspaper, a tussle looms over planned changes in Jubilee Party. A major tussle looms in President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party, with a section of members of parliament demanding a total overhaul of the outfit's leadership. However, the Star has established that 2022 aspirants have separately petitioned the party that the changes cannot be spearheaded by sitting MPs. 9 MPs from Mount Kenya region on Wednesday announced a cleanup exercise in the party to get rid of leaders they claim are responsible for the dwindling fortune of the outfit. The statement was seen to be targeting Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju and Volco Party Vice Chair David Murathe. Speaking after a brainstorming meeting on Wednesday, the group announced a cleanup of the Jubilee House right from the grassroots to the national office. All right, so Jubilee also, is it about time maybe the cleanup took place in Jubilee Party from what we've been seeing and the wrangles and, and all that, Douglas?
Miriam, the issue of Jubilee Party is an emotive issue right now in the country because Jubilee House has been mismanaging the party. My former party, the Jubilee Party of Kenya, is dead. That party is dead because, Miriam, it does not represent the true wishes of the people that subscribe to that party, the members of that party. I do not even think that the Jubilee Party of Kenya represents the interest of their party leader, the President of the Republic of Kenya. Jubilee Party of Kenya represents the interest of a few people led by the Secretary General and the people that many people would want kicked out of Jubilee Party. I'm a victim of the dictatorship, the coercion, and also the mismanagement of Jubilee Party affairs, Miriam. I cannot comment so much on it because I'll be very biased towards the Jubilee Party of Kenya, which was my former party that I supported. But I no longer support Jubilee Party to continue mistreating its members. Jubilee Party is behaving as if they are teen gods. They are not teen gods. And the Jubilee Party of Kenya, I can assure you, Miriam, in the coming months or coming 1 year or 2 years, it will be no longer the formidable party it was a few years ago. And this is a party that we would have loved to see outlive us. Parties like ANC, parties like parties in China and other countries in the world, media. Because at the end of the day, we cannot have a party that do not eat on what the members want, or including members who are elected on that ticket. Okay. If they propose changes, Tuju cannot be able to effect them, Miriam.
All right.
And at the end of the day, we need to be able to sanitize Jubilee. Those people that love Jubilee should tell the party leader the truth and tell them to sanitize Jubilee Party of Kenya and take it forward or kill it completely and let the members join other parties. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Douglas Kirimi said there he has jumped ship. Sijui kama ameenda kwa bus ama ni tip, but we shall find that out when we come back from the break. That's when I'll hear your thoughts on the same. Javan Karanja, so just hold your horses. Let's take a short break. We shall be back in a bit. The government of Kenya is keen on the development of social economic infrastructure to support the realization of the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The ambitious infrastructure projects are aimed at opening up the country for business and bolster productivity, particularly in the agricultural, manufacturing and the service industry, as this would bolster employment opportunities. Part of these critical infrastructure projects include the ongoing 27-kilometer expressway linking Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Nairobi's Westlands. Upon completion, the expressway will exponentially reduce travel times within Nairobi and thus help the country save man-hours, which is being lost in the traffic jams on a daily basis. The Lake Victoria Port Modernization Project to increase cargo handling capacity of the port and to increase Kenya's bilateral and multilateral trading within the region. The expansion of healthcare facilities to facilitate fruition of the country's universal healthcare coverage under the Big Four agenda. By speeding up movement of people and goods, the government is aiming to promote trading through reduction of travel times and costs. Welcome back. And before we went to that short break, we were looking at the Kenyan party politics, and initially we talked about UDA primaries being fair. That is according to the DP Ruto. He's saying the primaries for UDA party as they ready for next year's elections will be free and fair. And then we jumped on to a tussle that is looming now over planned changes in Jubilee Party, and Douglas had not very kind words for his now former party apparently. So Jevan Karanja, is it about time to clean house in Jubilee Party?
Thank you very much for that question. And I think the Jubilee Party, they are running short of time. The things that they're doing now, they should have done them way back when they were doing the House leadership cleaning, so that maybe they could have cleared everything and settled, and now they could be working on maybe how to strengthen the party. I think now it is too late, but I think maybe if they come with a good strategy, they might be able to revamp their party, although to not look at the bigger giant it used to be in 2017. Maybe they'll have a duplicate maybe of what it used to be, or something closer to what Jubilee used to be in Mount Kenya region. On the same very note, the Jubilee Party, what they should be doing now, they should be seeking coalitions so that maybe they can have other like-minded parties on board, so that they can have that outlook, a national outlook or a regional outlook. Because when you come to Mount Kenya region, we have small parties. I think it's high time that Jubilee needs to look for coalitions with this party. But revamping Jubilee, I think time is not on their side. They need to think on coalitions because the party is almost is deathbed.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. So now let's just get into another story before we get into the main headline on the Daily Nation. That is the meeting that happened, Uhuru Corners OKL chief to back Raila. But before we get into that, there's another story just down there. Win for men as MPs back bill on 50-50 in childcare. We know childcare, and it has been an issue here a lot of times, and people are taken to court because they've refused to take care of their children or things like that. So let's just find out. This is a matter of public interest, Douglas, what this bill seeks to do. And members of parliament have backed a bill seeking 50-50 a sharing of parental responsibilities in what could mark a big win for men who, as per current law, are disadvantaged in the event of separation or divorce. The National Assembly's Committee on Labour and Social Welfare, in a report before the House, have backed the Children Amendment Bill 2020 by Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma, which also seeks to have the rights of children applied uniformly, whether their parents are married or not, by aligning the principles of law with Articles 53 of the Constitution. Currently, the law is not uniform as it applies differently to children whose parents are married and those with single parents. For instance, Section 24, subsection 3 of the law, which the bill once amended, provides that where a child's father and a mother are not married to each other, the mother shall have parental responsibility at the first instance. It also stipulates that the father can only take parental responsibility through a court order. Okay. Douglas.
Miriam,
I know you don't
like that law,
but
yes.
Go ahead.
But it is true, but I'm an uncle to many. You know, the excuse that many people give when they don't have children, they say I'm an uncle to many and all that. But you need to look at it very clearly. If we share responsibility 50-50, and let's say they claim that it can be 50-50 of my income, and I'm earning $10,000 or $100, it means it is 50% responsibility of what I earn. So Miriam, still no one or nobody is being forced to a luxurious lifestyle for their children in case they separate with their wives. And I also believe with all my heart, this bill has no malice in it. It is a bill that is well thought, and it is a welcome relief, because so many people, I was discussing with some friends of mine last night, Miriam, that there are men that have refused to take responsibility. They have ceded everything about raising children and also treating their children to anything, including a basic needs, which are inherent rights of their children, Miriam, to their wives. And this, Miriam, has been able to stifle development of those children including physical development of those children. And also, Miriam, when you look at it, if these people continue running away from responsibility, we raise a generation of broken children, and the broken children means we have a broken society. All the problems that we are experiencing now in our society, almost all the problems that we are experiencing now in our society, mostly result from broken families and broken children, Miriam, when they are raised in an environment of a tussle between the mother and the father. But if it's about 50-50 responsibility, it also means that women are not going to be taking advantage of our financial situations so that they can be able to milk money from us in court or take more than the child needs, Miriam. For example, you raise a child with less than 20,000 or 30,000 per month, but when you separate with your wife, she clearly tells the court that you can afford 500,000 for the mother and the kid. Miriam, you ask yourself, some are asking millions of shillings every month from their spouses. You ask yourself this question: is this to the good and the welfare of the child, or it is the mother that has become greedy? This bill is going to make sure that, Miriam, we are going to curb the greed that we are having in our women, and also men that have also shunned responsibility are going to be able to be dealt with 100%, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, thank you. And it also states, that bill, that in a situation where one of the parents through a DNA test has confirmed that a child does not belong to them, they may cease taking up parental responsibilities. That makes sense. Sasa hiyo maneno ya kusukuma mtu to take care of someone else's child, that will cease according to the law. Javan.
Thank you very much. And I think I didn't get clearly what the bill proposes about the 50-50. Is it saying that the parents should...
Yes, because initially, let me just read that, I think quickly. Currently, the law is not uniform as it applies differently to children whose parents are married and those with single parents. For instance, Section 24, subsection 3 of the Kenyan law, which the bill once amended, provides that where a child's father and a mother are not married to each other, the mother shall have parental responsibility at the first instance. It also stipulates that the father can only take parental responsibility through a court order, which has been something I think a lot of women has been using as a weapon against the man. You know, you provide for perhaps the upkeep, but you can't see your child.
I think it's the high time that every child should be given a right to be brought up decently by both the parents. And I think our women have been taking advantage, where they go, you get a kid, but you don't want to see they don't want the kid to know the father, but you want the father, who is an absentee, to keep providing for this a kid, and you get all these court orders and everything. I think it is good that they share the responsibility, and the mother to be the mother of these kids. They should also ensure that they take the responsibilities, because to some extent they have been taking advantage and milking money from these men who happens to have other families somewhere else. I think this law is timely, and it have come to streamline our issues. On the same very note, I've had the same proposal saying, if you happen to go for a DNA and it's proved that the kid is not yours, you stop and you cease from providing to that kid. I think now from that we'll see more men going for DNA test just to see or to prove whether the kids they are providing for really belongs to them. Because we have women who really don't know the father of their kids. They go out there, they do everything else, and when they got pregnant, they start shifting blame from one man to another. They are not even sure, and they settle to the man who is well financed and maybe who cannot rebuttal as per se, and the man ends up providing for this kid, and maybe the kid is not theirs. I think this is a very good bill to avoid all these kind of people taking advantage and ensuring that some men are providing for kids that are not theirs, and women coming just to get pregnant so that they can trap you to keep providing them when they are busy doing their businesses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let's move on to our next story. Still on the Daily Nation on page 10. court declines to postpone corruption case facing Kidero. Milimani Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti yesterday declined to postpone corruption case facing former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero and 10 others despite concerns raised about COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Ogoti told the parties that the judiciary would follow the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health aimed at stopping the spread of the deadly virus. He said a courtroom which can accommodate up to 38 people has been set up, and those who cannot be there physically can follow the proceedings online. So Kidero was seeking for his case to be postponed due to COVID-19, and Kidero is accused of receiving 24 million Kenya shillings, that's amount of money. The former governor is said to have received from Lodwar wholesalers in 2014, among others. The charges also state that they conspired to commit fraud, which led to the loss of 213 million of the Nairobi City County government between January 16th, 2014 and January 25th, 2016. And other cases that Kidero has been, in court, in and out of court since I think he left. He ceased being the governor of Nairobi. But this case has been going on forever. And right now there's no stipulation as to how far the case can go, but the new amendments in the BBI I think has capped that to about 2 years. But he was seeking to postpone this case due to COVID-19. Douglas.
Miriam, we have a very huge problem in this country. The scourge of corruption keeps this country grounded. People like Kidero, who defrauded the Nairobi City County, bought apartments, built houses, bought vehicles, and advanced the financial stature of his family and wife, wants to write to us, the people of Kenya, that coronavirus can be able to stop the proceedings of his case. Miriam, I have told you cases of poor people that if you steal a chicken today, and that's why I would never aspire to be a chicken thief or any thief for that matter. Because when you steal a chicken, Miriam, today, the next few days or in the next 1 week will be sentenced to 10 years to prison or 7 years to prison. Same case with someone that is found with marijuana by the government. Now, if you ask yourself that question, why has Kidero never been convicted or released by these courts? Because we cannot continue the way we are continuing with these corruption cases. Because at the end of the day, we are having a Kidero and so many other Kideros in court who continue stifling these cases. We had the case of Philomena Mwiru, the DCJ in the Republic of Kenya, who continues to stifle a case, a corruption and a fraud case, to continue taking advantage of the court, abusing court process, and making sure he makes a lot of takes a lot of credit and praise a victim of the system or a judiciary that she ends as a DCJ. Miriam, it is about time the anti-corruption court, this country, took matters into their hands and made sure that we arrest these thieves, charge them, convict them, and send them to prison. If, Miriam, we can convict a thief, a chicken thief, in 1 week or 3 weeks, why should we not have convicted Kidero if he has truly stolen from the public? Mike Sonko has cases on corruption. Why is Mike Sonko still roaming around wearing funny clothes in town and insulting the intelligence and the corrective intelligence of the people of Kenya? Why is Nanok walking around? Why is Governor Kasaine, Rena Koral, Moses of Samburu walking around? Governor Kirito's Murungi family has been accused of corruption and fraud in this country, allegedly from the COVID-19 kit. Why is his family free today? Why is Muthomi Njuki of Tharaka Nithi, who made sure that he preferred public resources by inflating the price of an incinerator of 4 million to 34 million shillings, after stealing money with his wife and also family members and his in-laws? He roped on the whole family. Actually, they are supposed to be in prison. Why is Governor Muthomi Njuki telling us that he's going to be governor in 2022 again? Mm-hmm. Miriam, we need to ask ourselves very valid questions, and on that matter, we need to be able to question things, and the board say so. Why are these governors out here trying to tell us they want to be president and so manner of things. Miriam, a time has come for us as a country, as a people. We need to strengthen anti-corruption laws. And tomorrow, my eyes on the courts tomorrow, as they be able to reject the BBI. That is a panacea to our corruption problem. That is a panacea to Kinderos of this world, to Moses Renakorad Kasaine of Samburu. People who have stolen from public media, I have said before, and I'll keep repeating myself, saying that these people should return public resources and go to jail. If we can be able to jail a chicken thief, why is Kidero running for governor of Homa Bay in the village, back in his village? Miriam, we need to be able to help our country by helping in getting this country to the right direction. And getting this country to the right direction is helping BBI to go through so that we can have a referendum that is going to help us speed up these cases, especially the Kidero case and others, Miriam, in this country. Because billions of dollars are lost every year to corruption in this country. Why is the former Treasury CS, Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich, free? A man that even stole a dam from his own village, the Aror and Kimwarel dams. Kimwarel is his own village. He denied their people the right to water, which is a basic right, because of corruption, Miriam. If it is Douglas Bundi Keremi that has stolen public resources, charge him, convict him, and send him to prison. Right. I have said that numerous times. If it is my mother, send her to prison. If it is my brother, send her to prison. Because, Miriam, we keep glorifying these thieves, and tomorrow we will find Kindero after winning the governorship in Homa Bay. People are going to pay homage to him for another 5 years as he prefers public resources.
All right.
My heart is very sad, Miriam, this morning. I'm very sad.
All right, I hear you, Douglas Kirimi, I hear you. Now, before declining the request, the magistrate asked if the accused if they have been vaccinated against the coronavirus, because they were using that as a reason why they wanted the case to be postponed, and it emerged that almost all of them have received COVID-19 shots. So really, they don't have a reason why they do not want, to continue with this case. Javan, this case has continued. Started in 2014. You're still talking about it. This parliament life is almost done. We go to another election, and we'll still be going in circles with this Kidero case and other high-profile cases on corruption in this country.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam, for that. And it is a very sad. We are in a very confused state as a country, and it's very sad that we have leaders who have stealed from the public coffer, still loitering around the country, going on with their business, when they denied basic facilities, basic services to Kenyans who they were supposed to lead, who they were supposed to provide for. Therefore, this is a very sad situation. Now this is the 7th year with the same case going around. Miriam, when did we have an accused bargaining with the court, and accused telling the court when he will be available to come and to come for a hearing? These are things that we need to rectify as a country, and we need to stop being lenient to people who have committed economic crimes in this country, so that we can have some kind of deterrence measures. If we can take Kidero and others high-profile figures in this country to committee and they serve jail sentence, Miriam, that will act as a warning to other thieves, to other criminals in public office, to other criminals in elective positions who are intending to steal from the public, who are intending to corrupt, to engage in corrupt activities to enrich themselves. But the problem with this country, a chicken seller will be lined in court, and the following day he'll be judged and he'll be imprisoned. But these high-profile figures, they steal huge amount of money, such that they can buy justice, such that they can corrupt the advocates and the judges and everyone around, and they will buy their freedom. We need to ensure that these things stops, and we need to be serious when it comes to the fight against corruption. Our courts need to wake up and amplify the fight against corruption, and any other person who is involved, all the agencies that are tasked to ensure that we fight corruption in this country, they rise to occasion and do their job. And the sad reality is, the same Kidero, he is not ashamed. He is going around the country in Homa Bay County, telling them that if they elect him as their next governor, he will transform the county, he will bring more services, and he failed to do that to the people of Nairobi. Therefore, even as Kenyans, we need also to stop this kind of punitive approach to our in our politics, so that we avoid being manipulated by leaders, a leader who have been corrupt. There's no way they will change. If they changing a county or changing possessions, this will not change their character or attributes or what they used to do, their bad behaviors. Therefore, it is high time that even the people of Homa Bay, they should stop Governor Kidero by all means and ensure that he will not be elected. Because if he will be elected, that means he will not be prosecuted. He will continue rooting now from Homa Bay. And by the time we realize, Kidero will be hitting 70s and he'll just be remaining with some bonus years in the world. And before we know it, he is gone. And the same judges who are dealing with the court, they will not be there. Therefore, we need to ensure that the fight against corruption, and as BBI was proposing, we need to terminate these cases within 2 years. If it was the case, by 2016, Kidero would have been in jail. That is what we need. We don't need to keep pampering these guys around.
Okay.
Kenyans need to wake up and fight corruption collectively. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, because we shall be having the editor's memo at 10, I think that you just look at this last topic very quickly, and I've been running away from this topic, but it's what is on the headlines in all the leading newspapers this morning, and on page 4 of the Daily Nation. OKA cedes ground on Raila's 2022 bid. President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday inched closer to brokering a truce between Raila Odinga and One Kenya Alliance principals, with the latter reportedly giving conditional nod to back the ODM leader's presidential bid as they await tomorrow's court ruling on the Building Bridges initiative. This came even as the head of state told the OKA chiefs to start the process of disbanding the alliance in readiness for a larger formation, a coalition for national unity that will bring in more leaders to reflect the face of Kenya ahead of the 2022 elections. President Uhuru Kenyatta has been the mediator in this process, and he came close, from the story that we're reading from the papers this morning, in convincing the other side to abandon their aspirations and support Raila, which they've done several times before, so it won't be something different. Is President Uhuru Kenyatta likely to convince them fully to back Raila and shelve the aspirations for now, Douglas? And we only have about a minute each.
Miriam, he can be able to convince them, and at the end of the day, these people have no choice rather than to support what the president is telling them, because they do not stand a chance if they don't not unite with the president and Raila Odinga. Why am I saying so, Miriam? I'm saying so even without a lot of bias in my heart. My heart is clean, but these people cannot be able to marshal enough numbers to be president in this country. Like I said, they can be whitewashed by Raila Odinga, by William Ruto in the morning. If they do not take caution and listen to the President of the Republic of Kenya, the next president will be Dr. William Samoei Ruto. These people should come together and be able to unite. And also there is a perspective that I read somewhere, that these people have always held this country at ransom, threatening people that they are going to run for president in this country, Miriam. The other leaders who are coming up, like governors who are not going for a second term, why are we being held at ransom in Ukambani when we have Kalonzo Musyoka, when we have Charity Ngilu, our friend Mutua, Governor Kivutha Kibwana? We can replace Kalonzo, we can replace Masika Wetangula, we can replace the man from Vihiga, from Mururu village, Musalia Mudavadi. At the end of the day, the only person there who is serious with his money is Gideon Moi. Gideon Moi may not be charismatic as many people would want him to be, like William Ruto, but the money is funding everything.
Okay.
The money is trying. The money is trying to be on the table, Miriam, but these others, these are jokers.
All right, thank you so much. Now, the OKA chiefs, most of who were principals in the disbanded National Super Alliance, NASA, had vowed not to back Mr. Odinga's candidature again, citing their 2017 coalition agreement that required the ODM leader support one of them in 2022 with the limited positions under the current constitution. OKA leaders Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, Musalia Mudavadi Amani National Congress, Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula and KANU chairman Gideon Moi are said to have raised concerns about distribution of positions should the larger formation be realized. Jevan.
Thank you very much. And this One Kenya Alliance, they have said it severally, and if they mean their words, that they will not work with the deputy president. If they not work with the deputy president, what are they waiting? They need to come and support the person who they are saying they can work with under some conditions, and that is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And they should realize this time round it's not about positions, it's about clinching the presidency and knowing the way after getting to State House. They should not think anything bigger than that, because if they happen now to come to talk of positions, and we can see it clearly that we have a BBI that was to do that, and it's almost crippling as we wait for the judgment tomorrow. We don't know what will happen. Therefore, they need to be serious and realize they need to come together and win. And from there, things will settle themselves from after winning the presidency. But if they happen to go their individual ways, they will not clinch the presidency either, and they will not get these positions that they are talking about in first place. Therefore, it is high time that they look at the political waves and realize that everything is pointing towards the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The president is very keen on ensuring that in one way or the other, he blesses the former Prime Minister to clinch the presidency. And we have seen the former Prime Minister making inroads in Mount Kenya region to ensure that he gets some votes. Therefore, all signals are out and all signs are out that it is former Prime Minister moment, and they just need to support him, clinch the presidency, and from thereafter, they will know how to divide the positions, because in government, there are a lot of positions, there are a lot of big positions, if that is what they want, to be distributed among themselves. But first, the main goal is to ensure the deputy president does not get to State House in the first place, and that is their common objective. They need to fight the enemy collectively, or they will be humbled to submission by the rival, and that is the deputy president, William Ruto. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jevan Karanja. Thank you so much, Douglas Kirimi. We shall take a short break and then we will come back with Editor's Memo, where Dr. David Masanga shall be leading us in that conversation. My name is Mira Mugutu. This has been Good Morning Africa. Good morning.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.